Welcome back, guys. I'm your host, Skyler,
alongside with Stefanie Kabidi.
and if you are looking to ignite your real estate, then hit that subscribe button.
Go subscribe to the Investor Unite podcast,
where we will bring you weekly content.
All things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship.
Right. So on today's podcast, we're going to be discussing partnerships along with how to get started in real estate.
Exactly.
So,
because like a lot of people, we're just gonna dive right into it, right?
Yeah, we haven't rehearsed this or anything. But...
No, we're just going off the dome. But I see like when I speak at like meetups, one question I get is like, how did you find your partner? Which we already talked about like in a previous episode. If you guys want to see how we actually met and stuff, go check that out.
Yeah, that was a little background of just like how we grew up and everything. But actually picking out the right partner is kind of what this video is going to be dedicated towards.
Right.
But go ahead.
Yeah, so I get this question a lot of like, how do you pick the right partner? Because the right partner is everything. And as you know, I had a deal earlier in April where I picked a partner and it turned out it wasn't the best scenario. It wasn't the best thing. So there's things that happen with that. And I mean,
Still ended up being a win at the end of the day.
A win and
a life lesson.
A life lesson. That's what I would say for sure. Because I mean, we could dive deep into it. I don't know. Or we do it for another time or something.
We'll save it for another time. We'll make another podcast of all our real estate F-ups.
Happens. The mistakes behind the scenes that people don't see on social media.
Yeah, not everything's as pretty as what it seems to be on camera.
Yeah.
But, so actually the 2 meetups ago, I believe, when we were at one of Zach's meetups, you did get the question of, do you have a partner? And if so, how did you end up choosing that partner and figuring out that they would work well with you? So your response was that it was a good response. It was pretty much on the fly, and you kind of called me out a little bit in the middle of it. I can't even lie. My heart was like.
You thought I was about to have you speakers?
I did. I was like, oh no.
Skyler, can you stand up and say a few words?
Hello, everyone. Skyler, nice to meet you.
The room was packed, guys. It probably like 150 people in there or so.
Just like upwards of 200. There was a lot of people in there.
Get like a visualization of how many people are in there.
Which I know, like when you're saying it doesn't sound like that many, but when you're there, like it feels like
it's a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. So props to you for being able to talk in front of all those people. And
it took time because public speaking. If we're getting into that, like, man, I was the worst. Yeah. But like it built up, so.
You told me about that because one of your first meetups ever, you actually went on stage, didn't you?
I went on stage, but like a couple of days before I got completely sick. Like I never got sick. And it was pretty bad.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
But I mean, going back into like the partnership stuff, you were saying what the guy said?
Right. So his question to Stefanie was, how did you choose your partner and how did you know that you guys were compatible? Mm-hmm. Your response was pretty general. It was a good outline though, of just basically, we'll go more in depth than this, but because there's
I never told you when I was debating. I was like thinking to myself, like, is Skyler like the right partner for business? Because like I took some time because there was other people in line that like we were actually supposed to be business partners, but I'm glad it didn't work out. Like everything happens for a reason. Right. But I'll let you finish.
I'm excited. I'll see what happens. No, I mean, that goes both ways too. Like, obviously, before choosing a partner is something you're going to seriously want to consider. It's not just like a one-day thing. You got to really communicate with them for at least a week or so. Just kind of get to feel them out, see where their mindset is at. Yeah. See where their goals and ambitions would be. And if it aligns with yours. And kind of like where you guys are starting at as well. Whether you guys are both beginners, one of you has a little more experience than the other, or maybe one is experienced in a different field than the other, but it's still real estate related. So those are all things that we'll get into discussion about. But as I was going to say, Stefanie's answer to the guy who asked that question at the meetup was, you're basically just looking for a partner who has strong suits where your weaknesses are. So
and vice versa.
Right. That's just a general answer, but to go a little more in depth, me and Stefanie, we were thinking about like before we officially became partners, we had a couple discussions of like, what am I good at? What is she good at? So as we mentioned in a previous podcast, go check it Stefanie was a former real estate agent.
Yeah.
So
I still am a real estate agent. I have my license, but I don't really work as an agent.
Right.
Yeah.
So she had a great understanding of the markets along with the people who are in the network of not just like home buyers or home sellers, but actual investors as well. Just from being a real estate agent, I'm sure you come across them quite often. They're all looking for those off-market properties, those pocket listings before they can hit the market. So they reach out to the realtors constantly.
Right.
So that was definitely some of her strong suits. Something that I felt as though I was a little bit better at in the beginning was knowing all the different strategies that you can go into investing with. Mm-hmm. Just from honestly being at my W-2 and constantly listening to real estate podcasts and learning about all these different real estate strategies of how people are investing.
Right.
Whether it's sub-2, seller finance, any kind of creative financing, the different kinds of bank loans you can use, DSCR, FHA, conventional.
Yeah.
Fix and flips, wholesales, novations, like all those kind of things. That's just really where my mindset was at. And then I was also going through, and I'm sure Stefanie was fantastic at this before we even became partners as well, but I felt as though I was really good at analyzing properties. So just being able to run the numbers, seeing what kind of money you would have to put into the property, what you can expect, and what kind of expenses are going to be coming out of that. Granted,
and I wasn't good at that. Okay. Because before we had that time at that house where you were like, can we go see this house? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then you wanted to partner and blah, blah, blah. Like, I did not know how to run numbers. That's why I called up Noah and he kind of walked us through it. And I still till that day, I didn't know how to run numbers. It still just wasn't
it didn't click yet.
It was just going in one year, out the other year.
Right.
So then I was like, hey, I still need your help. So I went up to Lebanon. He was showing me how to run numbers. Still, it just it
was a little foggy.
Plug and play of what he was doing, but I'm watching him and it's still I don't know. But now it's a lot easier.
Yeah, now we can kind of just look at a property
and
just know nah, or that could be a good option.
Right, exactly.
So that's kind of our backgrounds, and that's, I feel as though, where we really matched up well, just knowing that she had the network along with the knowledge of real estate market, and then my quote unquote knowledge. Let's hope I did. So I can't really say I knew for a fact how to do all this just because I hadn't put it in action yet. So this was just all I could tell you everything I knew about real estate.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, until you actually get yourself in those scenarios, you don't really know too much. You might think you do, but as you're actually going through all these tens of hundreds of different properties, you'll run into so many different situations.
So many.
It's all going to be different, honestly. You can have a great understanding of the numbers and the exit strategies that you want to go with on a property, but until you're actually there doing it, it's different.
And every real estate deal is completely different.
Right.
There's nothing that is similar in a real estate deal.
No, not at all. There's always something behind those deals. It might just seem it's a house, I got under contract, I resold it. But the stories that go behind it, along with some of the disasters that people have got themselves into when trying to sell this property, you never know what it could be. Bankruptcies, Chapter
IRS
11,
stuff.
Chapter 15, IRS, liens, tax liens, divorce, probates. There's
so much stuff.
There's so much that goes into it, So from a mental standpoint, I feel as though that's where we really matched. Mm-hmm. And then also from a physical standpoint, I know that Stefanie had brought this up to me when we first started talking about becoming partners.
Yeah.
And I know we both knew or were aware of that.
And it's crazy because I had a meeting with another investor because I dissected the whole thing because I was I don't want to I want to make sure that it's the right partnership, right? So I know where you're coming from.
Oh yeah, I figured you knew what I was about to say.
Yeah.
But it's something that you brought up to me in the beginning, which really didn't even cross my mind because we're both very friendly people. If you can't tell,
should I say it?
Yeah, you can say it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So and it's not talked about in the space.
It's not.
So I
feel it's one of those things that just gets swept under the rug. But it really does play a large factor.
And that's literally your race, right?
Yeah, it's your race and your sexuality.
Exactly. Sure. So when I got into real estate and, I knew being black in real estate, there's going to be people out there that don't want to work with you because you're black. Right.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it. Okay. I'm getting ready to partner up with someone. let me reach out to a good friend of mine. You know, he's mixed, and he.
Sorry, the fish just jumped out the water.
There's like fish. We got a full-on aquarium in the back.
Let us know if you want that to be the background next time.
But he, you know, I hopped on a call with him, and I was asking him, like, have you guys ever experienced race, like an issue?
Yeah.
With real estate investing, like, has anything ever happened? And he was telling me, he was like, yeah, there's this one time where we were door knocking. He had like his white friend, and then it was him, and then they were going to door knock the same person's house, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if it was like the same day or different days or what it was, but when they went to door knock, the seller was like, yeah, they wanted to sell.
Right.
But he wasn't selling to
the white guy.
No. Oh. He was going to sell to him.
Oh, to a white guy. Okay.
But he wasn't going to sell to the mixed guy.
Oh, gotcha.
Right? And like literally, like just those little things. It's crazy, it's because
the things you don't really think about. It's all behind the scenes, I guess you could say.
And it's sad. Like, it's sad. It's the world we live in, but we do have to think like that. And I know there's people out there that aren't thinking like that when coming into the business. And it's not like he's using me because I'm black or I'm using him because he's white. We both have our strengths and weaknesses where we're, you know, building together to grow a really strong company.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's crazy that it's happening, but that's the world we live in today. And honestly, like for me as a real estate agent, I honestly don't think I ever had anything like racist, you know, happen to me. I don't know.
So we had a call the other day. It was our...
Oh, no. There was something.
Oh, go ahead. What happened?
But I don't know. It was with not Investors Unite, but with Stefanie Buys Houses.
Okay.
So when I was doing the cold call, I was on the phone with this lady.
Yeah.
And she was like... We were talking for like a good like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And she was like, let me ask you this. Are you African American? I was like, yeah.
Can you tell by the voice?
She was like, all right, well, because this land was owned for like 30 years or like 50 years from black-owned families, blah, 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 and what's going on. I was like, oh, awesome. Yeah. And like that, I mean, that's great. Like, that's cool. That's awesome.
Of course.
But, like, I was just thinking, like, if Skyler would have been on that call, like, the rapport wouldn't have been there.
Right, it wouldn't have turned out so well. You wouldn't have built that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, like, these are... my story the other day was actually from our VA who was calling. Mm-hmm. She is Ethiopian as well, just like Stefanie. It was nothing directed towards her, but the person or the seller that she had got in contact with, we were trying to figure out her motivation for wanting to sell the property, and she basically hinted at the area is changing, quote unquote. Yeah. You know, the diversity is becoming more and more apparent within her community, and that was one of the reasons she wanted to move out. So once again, like, it was nothing directed towards either one of us or our cold caller, but it just shows that there are still people out there who look at others in that kind of manner. Yeah. Which I'm not saying it's right at all. Like, I believe it's completely wrong. The school we went to is a very diverse school.
Really diverse, yeah.
We had Indians,
everyone,
Asians, blacks, whites, you know, plenty of male, females, and other pronouns. I don't know about all of it. But yeah, so neither one of us really grew up in that kind of way. Right. But we know that these older generations are the people who we're going to be speaking to, and some of them do still have that mindset. So going in, I mean, myself as a white male, like, if I talk to any other older white male, I'm able to bond with him pretty easily, honestly. Right. Like, it's not just that I'm white or that at all. It's kind of just, like, the mindset of, like, my whole family, like, they're all older white guys. Mm-hmm. So I just have a better relationship building with those kind of people. Yeah. I feel like it comes across a little bit easier for me.
And that's the same with, like, me with, like, black people. Like, I know how they act.
Exactly.
So, yeah. It's funny, you know, but, there's another thing that just popped in my head, too. But go ahead, what you were saying.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, even though, like, we are obviously different ethnicities and everything, that's something that you're going to want to think about when finding a partner, just depending on what area you're in. And I know it's not always going to be the prettiest thing to think about or even talk to another person.
And that's a tough conversation.
It is.
And I think we did have that conversation.
At the coffee shop.
Yeah, we were talking about that because where we are, like, people know we're in Harrisburg, PA.
Yeah.
Harrisburg is super diverse.
Super diverse.
And I don't know if I can speak too much just because of real estate, like my agent stuff.
Right.
But I'll just say this. So wherever you go, it's like there's going to be like some places are going to be more of, this race. Some places are going to be more of this race, right?
Right.
So like whenever we have appointments, so say we're cold calling, you send an appointment or I send an appointment and say it's in this area, I know like, oh, I'm not going on that appointment, like.
And that has nothing really to do with ethnicity either.
Yeah.
No, not really. At the end of the day, it's like if we're going into like the inner city or the trenches per se, it's gonna be me that's going. Like I'm the guy.
Well, no. Like for that, like that makes sense. Like for city stuff, it's like you definitely go.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll go too. But like
you did go to Harold, so
I did.
I was proud of you for that.
But for like the outer of me in the country, it's
that's my territory again.
Go, yeah. So, you can go for it. And like I'll go sometimes. Like I'll go sometimes, but it just like someone's gonna feel more comfortable.
Right.
If they see you.
Right. I mean that's no lie. Like anywhere in like the rural farmlands outside of Harrisburg, like Lancaster, York, Cumberland County, it's gonna be old white people. Like just to be completely honest with everyone. And I feel as though myself, like I feel perfectly comfortable just walking down some kind of back road next to farms, old guys in pickup trucks.
Now, if I'm doing that,
shotguns in the back,
I know. Completely different story. And there's probably going to be comments on this episode, which, everyone's having a different, view or background, whatever the case may be, but it's just the honest truth. That's the world we live in today, and it's something that needs to be talked about, and I don't think it is talked about enough because there's a lot of people that are, going through stuff like that. Like I had a friend that she was doing an open house, and the neighbor, because she was doing an open house, and she was going around to the neighbor and giving them like notes or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like a pop by is what they call it in real estate. To get your name out there, to get more deals.
Leverage within the neighborhood. As
well as like usually neighbors like to buy the house or something like that, or a family member of the neighbor likes to buy that house.
My house is a little nicer than mine. I might have to go pick that one up.
Yeah, so she was going around door knocking, and then this one house she door knocked, she has a picture I think on her business card, so it shows what she looks like, and I think she's I don't know exactly what she is, but
something of diversity.
Right. And the seller called her. Like, she wasn't there face to face because she just left the pop by there. But the seller called her and was like, you people never, like, she was so rude, and she was going right at her race. Like, just being so racist. This was in, I think it was in Cumberland County.
Okay.
So maybe Mechanicsburg or...
Yeah.
Camp.
Yeah. So we know a little bit more than what our general audience will know in regards to these areas.
When you know your backyard,
you know who lives where, what kind of people you're going to deal with, those kind of things. So yeah, I mean, ethnicity, like, it does play a factor when picking the partnership overall. Yeah. Another thing is her being a female and myself being a male.
Right.
That also does play a factor. I know that being a female within the real estate community, it's a lot more rare. Like, you're going to deal with a lot of, like, the businessmen. Mm-hmm. And actually, I found as though, like, it probably helps out our company a lot, knowing that there's a female's name. Well, so the name of this company is Investors Unite, so that's kind of just like a general thing.
But our real estate investing company is called Stefanie Buys Houses.
Right, and I feel like that does attract more people. They're like, Stefanie, they're like...
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of people use their names, but it could be like Mark buys houses or Dave buys houses. And it's just, it doesn't really pop. It doesn't stand out to sellers. I feel like a lot more people feel more comfortable when talking to them. And it's more
masculine. Like, if they see a female or hear a female's voice, like when cold calling, they're more soft. They're more laid back. Or like whenever, just in general, whenever a girl is cold calling,
Like,
it's just the response isn't super as bad. So, yeah, you will get cussed out if you're cold calling as a girl. That's going to happen. But you're probably not going to get as cussed out as a guy.
Right.
You know?
And there's been multiple times where I'm just, like, going through it. And Stefanie will be, like, listening. We'll be on the phone as I'm making the calls on the laptop. She's like, oh, my God. Like, did you really just say that? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a usual thing, honestly.
Yeah. It's something.
To be in real estate, you got to have, like, a thick layer of skin. Yeah. You're going to get a lot of those. And, I mean, rejection's always a big part. But you got to think a little bit deeper than rejection. Like, right. They'll start going for your heart.
No, they will. And that's why you see, like, a lot of real estate investors, a lot of real estate investing companies, you will see what kind of cold callers they have. It's not male. They want to hire female cold callers because they're going to get a better response rate. They're going to get a better, more lead flow from that, you know?
No, I completely agree. So that's just another thing to consider when trying to find a partner. I feel like we covered a good majority of it. We covered mindset.
I think I may have to make the title of this video like something with race or something because
I wonder how long we've been going for.
People don't talk about it.
I wonder if we can make this like a whole video.
What?
It was like straight up like race within real estate.
Race within real estate.
What's the word? That'd be so.
Forget the partnership.
It's all about black and white today. What up?
Race within real estate.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually a good title.
Yeah, that would stand out. That's very controversial.
We're keeping this in.
Yeah, we're not cutting any of this.
Or maybe we should cut that part.
Oh, what were we thinking about? Like, keeping it as the... Okay, sure.
Maybe make it its own separate video.
Sure, it doesn't matter.
Alright.
We make a lot of TikToks out of this.
Yeah. So, I'm just trying to think. If you want to... How should we do this? Cut that part out. We can make an intro for that. Okay, so Husafa, so we're about to make an intro to the race podcast, and if you want to cut up where we started talking about race, and then have that be the end of it, and then we'll start the new one.
And we'll start a new one. Should this also be in regards to partnerships, or are we going to kind of just jump into, other than what we've already previously talked about when finding a partnership?
Yeah.
This is one thing that just from listening to like the bigger gurus is something you're going to want to try to avoid in a partnership is any kind of relationships within a business. And I'm not talking about just like a business partner relationship. I'm talking about like, boyfriend, girlfriend kind of things.
Yeah.
So just a life lesson, like you don't want to pick a partner who you feel as though like eventually you're going to have feelings for later on.
Exactly.
Or someone who's just you're going to think about them in a different way other than a business partner.
And honestly, like just being in the business, I could not have like a boyfriend and be business partners because like sometimes like there's this one time when we had that like first kind of argument.
Which one was it?
With the Dahlia Road.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But then I was like, nah, let us have good terms and stuff. So when I called you late at night and I was like, you know what? I forget what I said, what was going on. But like...
Was it in regards to the tree?
Well, no.
Oh, no.
Well, you were mad about the tree being cut down.
I was upset. I was like, that's a pretty tree.
People love natural light. And then we were going back and forth.
At the end of the day, Stefanie was right on that decision.
But yeah, so we had like that argument. And there's some times where like, I'm sure he's probably mad at me or just annoyed with me, and I'm like, I get annoyed with him, and
not really. Steph's a pretty great person. She just doesn't like it.
But no, so like, but I don't know. Like for me, I just couldn't work with someone that I'm in a relationship with.
Exactly. So even if you have to take this into retrospective, so I'm not sure if that's the right word.
Retrospective. Is that what you said? Retrospective.
Let's take it into perspective.
Perspective. There you go.
Word. Is that, let's say outside of your business, if you decide to partner with your other half or whoever you're in a relationship with.
Yeah.
Let's say you guys are rocky within that relationship and maybe you had an argument that day. That is going to completely ruin the day for your business as well. Like,
right.
It's very hard to be disciplined enough to set that aside
and separate the two.
Exactly, when focusing on your business. And I know that there's been multiple times where we've had sellers come up and ask either myself or her or both of us combined, like, are you guys together?
Yeah.
Like, are you dating? Blah, blah, blah.
It's
and I'm just like, no, I'm not. Or we're not. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, like, y'all make a cute couple. Yeah, of course we would. We're good-looking people. But at the end of the day, it's completely separate. You should always keep business separated from your personal relationships.
Exactly.
Two completely different things that you do not want to intertwine.
Yeah. And if you think about, like, for me personally, like, I don't know, sometimes with, like, real estate, it's like, we know how to, you know, separate the two, like, our friendship and,
right.
and business.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, like, sometimes you need a break from real estate. So, like, if my significant other is also in the business, like, we're business partners, it's like, we're always going to be talking real estate 24/7.
Right.
And it's like, nah, I want it separate.
Sometimes, yeah. No, everybody needs a little cool-off period.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's just Saturday, Sundays, or maybe you stop a little bit early one day just because you're getting overwhelmed.
Right.
Those are things you have to take into consideration for sure. But
no, yeah, that's a good point though.
So,
you brought up.
Well, thank you. But yeah, I mean, as Stefanie was saying, like, at the end of the day, we are still friends. Like, whether we're business partners or not, we're going to be friends at the end of the day. Just because we grew up together, we've always been friends. And I would say when picking out a partner as well, make sure you like the people. Or the other person.
The people.
Whether how many partners you got in there.
Yeah.
But you don't want to become a partner just because they're good at business, but you can't stand their personality. Yeah. You guys argue 24/7, but you guys would benefit each other in some other kind of way.
Because you're just gonna hate working. It's gonna make you not like real estate. Because we're literally on the phone probably like so many times throughout the day.
Yeah, hours a day. Yeah,
just trying to figure out, you know, different scenarios, trying to figure out, you know, what to do with this lead or this lead. So, like, if you really don't like the person, the whole company is going to go downhill.
Yeah, no, for sure. So those are definitely, I feel like those are all, like, the key aspects when picking a partner, honestly. I feel like we covered that pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing we also wanted to go over was, like, for new real estate investors?
Yeah, so kind of just like
what to do as a new real estate investor to get you up and running.
I guess. So just like how to get started. I feel like we'll probably go into depth with this topic maybe in a later video. Mm-hmm. Probably coming up here soon, honestly, because it is like the beginning stages of our podcast.
Yeah.
But just to touch on it now, just like some of the things you can do to prepare yourself to get into real estate investing.
Right.
And then also once you're there, like what are the first steps you're gonna want to take?
Yeah.
So I think in order to prepare, you should figure out if you even like real estate.
Yeah.
So
I say watch YouTube videos like Days in the Life and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Watch Days in the Life, see what these other real estate newbies are doing on a daily basis, or even real estate experts. Be like, is that something where I could picture myself doing that for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Or even if it's not the rest of your life, but the next several years where you're going to be 100% committed to your business. You have to look at what they're doing throughout their daily routines. You have to check up on what all you'll have to learn just to even be able to be an investor. It's like, is that something I'm willing to take the time out of my life as of now to learn? Is that something I'm willing to, you know, take the time out just to go on these appointments, to network with all these other individuals in regards to business? Like, you have to think about it before you jump right into real estate. I know it looks all pretty from the outside.
Yeah.
You make these giant checks and, you know, it looks great. But at the end of the day, it's like there's a lot more that goes into it that not everybody talks about.
It is a lot. And I mean, with being a real estate investor, there are, you know, comparisons with being a real estate agent, like the difference. So like you do have to go to like school, so-called, to be a real estate agent, to get your real estate license. Each state is different with the amount of hours that you need. I think in the state of PA, it's 72 hours that's required for you to be able to move on and stuff. Okay. But you also have to take a state and national exam. So, you know, being able to pass that, whereas a real estate investor, the entry, you know, level is so, you know, low. Like you don't have to do much. You literally can just go create an LLC. And honestly, you don't need an LLC to get started in real estate.
You can straight up just walk out your house one day, decide on an investor, and knock on somebody's door.
Yeah, ask someone for a purchase. And honestly, Chat GPT, the new AI stuff, like you can literally probably go on there, say, type me up a purchase and sell agreement in the state of Pennsylvania or whatever state you're in, and they will give that to you.
This isn't legal advice, just because we don't know 100% how that works. We haven't tried it, but that is a great idea. I wouldn't be surprised if the new AI software is able to come up with.
I'm sure
all kinds of documents that you would need. It's probably that thing's amazing. Pretty much anything.
Have to do a whole episode on that.
That'd be cool. I want to explore a little bit more with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like as Stefanie was saying, these are all things that you're gonna have to consider. Mm-hmm. And then also just what kind of route of real estate do you want to go down? Do you want to go down as being an agent and kind of starting off your path that way, just to help you network within the community, kind of get a feel for where the market's doing,
right?
What the market's doing, not where. Or do you want to just kind of go right in as an investor? Watch enough gurus and real estate podcasts to acquire enough knowledge just to go out there and be able to have a typical conversation with a seller.
Yeah.
So these are all factors that you're gonna have to, think about before you even get started. Just like, where do you want to start?
Just write down your goals. I would say, write down your goals for the next 5 to 10 years, and that should give you, what you should do.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't see being an agent in my lifetime.
No.
I just saw it as an opening door to real estate investing, but during the time when I got my real estate license, I didn't fully see the vision that God had for me. But now it's I don't want to be an agent for the rest of my life. That's why, turn to real estate investing and stuff. But
right. And it's gonna sound funny, but I kind of envisioned my life being a real estate agent.
Really?
Well, not really an agent, but a broker per se. Just from watching all those $1 Million Listing shows, as we've mentioned previously. I saw that, I was like, my God, I would love to do this. This would be amazing.
I think being a broker is the worst part.
Exactly. So
yeah.
So I mean, you watch it on TV. I'm like, I would love to go walk through these $1 million mansions every day, show different people, make these giant commissions. Until I became an investor, and I realized how much work actually goes into being an agent.
Yeah.
You're not getting paid for most of your time,
and you're not people say, you're gonna see this all throughout social media,
people say, listen up,
you're your own boss when you get into real estate and become a real estate agent, and that is completely false. When I got into it, I realized that probably after I did a couple of showings, and the showings were an hour away, and I'm over here driving so tired from driving and showing these properties just for the buyer to say, I really don't like this backyard, I don't like the flooring in here. It's go change the flooring once you buy it, But after all these drives, I realized once they sign that buyer agency agreement, and once you're meeting with the seller and they sign that listing agreement, they become your boss. If they say, hey, Stefanie, I want to go see this house. All right, let me go schedule a showing. See it at this time whenever they're available. Yeah. Not on your time, but on their time.
You're not your own boss at that
point.
And
it gets so annoying. And just having to show all these, properties.
And it's this
offers.
person's not going to want to buy this property, but you still have to go out there and show them. Because that's what you've committed to.
Exactly. So
those are, I mean, not to sway anybody away from being an agent.
Because people are crushing it. There's a lot of agents out there that are crushing it, that love that, but...
Yeah. I mean, Stefanie herself knows several millionaires who are agents.
Yeah.
And brokers as well, I'm guessing.
Kind of. I don't know.
Not really? Don't worry about them. Just agents.
Well, the broker part, the reason, I would never want to be a broker is because you have to manage all the agents.
Right.
So, there's a lot of new agents, because you want agents to come to you, to your brokerage, so your brokerage can make more money. But when you're getting new agents in there and they're making mistakes on contracts, on different things, maybe they sold a house and the water was broken, maybe the hot water heater wasn't working. The clients, you think they're loyal? No, they'll come after you and then come after your brokerage. And you're not going to get sued, but the brokerage is going to get sued.
Yeah.
So, it's just a lot of,
lawsuits?
Yeah, a lot of lawsuits and stuff, and just supervising, making sure everyone's, doing the right stuff when it comes to their clients and the contracts.
You're not buying yourself freedom by being a broker. You think you're just going to have this team and let them go do them. You bought yourself a job. You're
going to get calls at 11 o'clock at night. Hey, I got to write up this offer. The deadline is midnight. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you please walk me through the process? Yeah. That's going to take 2 hours just to go through the contract. Even longer if it's your first time, right?
Yeah.
So, it's a job.
So those are some factors you have to consider if you do want to be an agent.
Mm-hmm.
From the investment standpoint, when you're deciding if you want to be an investor, I touched on it briefly, just kind of like what your responsibilities will be in the beginning, and just like what kind of look out for, watch those daily routines that other investors are doing.
Yeah.
Just kind of give you like a fair warning of like, this is what you're going to get yourself into. I have zero regrets of getting myself into being in this investing position. Mm-hmm. I mean, I absolutely love it. It's something that I'm passionate about. Yeah. I have been since I was a younger kid. Mm-hmm. And Stefanie, I mean,
I'm pretty passionate.
She always knew she wanted to be in real estate somehow.
Yeah.
Eventually, she found her way over to the investing side.
Yeah, and I kind of knew, I knew I was gonna do like wholesaling and investing stuff. I just didn't know when, because every time I would try, it just didn't seem to go through right. But
trial and error.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, something will stick.
That's right. That's right.
So, do you have any advice you want to give them when becoming an investor? There's like some things or tips that they could start doing.
So, I would say
I would start with like networking, just because.
Well, networking, like going to real estate investing meetups is huge. So like you can check out meetup.com.
Yeah.
And if you're in the area, if you're in Central PA, check out our meetup, Level Up Meetup. That's in Lancaster, PA. So I don't know. I may leave the link down in the description. It's a free event, so
it'll be down there.
Yeah, yeah. So come out. Great for networking. You hear a lot of guest speakers that are doing phenomenal in the business, whether that's like real estate agents, real estate investors.
Yeah. And they always have a different topic too, it seems, like all the guests that she brings on, whether it's creative finance, whether it's subject twos, probates,
rentals, building up your rental portfolio and
landlords, stuff. Construction contractors, like it's all sorts of different things, and they're all very valuable pieces of advice.
But yeah, that would definitely be the first step. And there's another thing. So like, people say when coming into real estate investing that you should start off with wholesaling.
Yeah. And
I think that's true.
You think it's true?
But I started off with a flip.
You did. You started off with a flip.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you do have to start off with making calls, right? You have to start off with lead generation and don't have an objective of, okay, I'm just doing this to wholesale or I'm just doing this to do a fix and flip.
Yeah, you gotta have an open mind whenever you're running into these properties.
That's what I believe. Like, have an open mind, because you never know if you come across a deal that, okay, this deal may be, like, it may be your first deal, but it may be like a $70,000, $80,000 profit for a flip.
Right.
Where you're like, oh,
I can wholesale this for $10,000,
mm-hmm.
and you're not even considering the part of, well, the person you're going to wholesale to is the one who's really making that profit right there.
Right.
And flipping for everybody in the beginning is not always a great choice either.
So don't do it by yourself. The thing is, you want to partner up with someone else that has that experience where they can so-called mentor you through the process because you brought them the deal.
I would say yes. I mean, that is a great option for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's not required on doing your first fix and flip if you have the right people in place already.
Oh, you're saying to partner up with someone else?
Right. So I'm saying, like,
I don't know if I agree with that one there.
Okay, I'm gonna say that, which is fine. Right? Yeah. No, we have our different opinions.
Yeah.
I think that if you do find the correct property,
mm-hmm.
and you've ran your numbers as a beginner,
yeah.
and you think that there's a good potential to make profit, I would say without having to find a partner initially,
mm-hmm.
take it to somebody else in the community who you know has done multiple fix and flips already.
Yeah.
Kind of run the numbers by them. I'm sure a lot of them would be more than open to help you out as a newbie. I know that we've been mentored frequently by many different people.
Right.
It's been a huge help in our company. So yeah, take your numbers, take your little spreadsheet over to the mentor,
mm-hmm.
or just somebody who's done it before, see what their opinion is, and then from there, at that point, you're going to have to do some more work. You're going to have to find a capital partner if you don't have the money already, which as a newbie, you most likely won't. And then you're also going to have to find contractors or subcontractors, or, there's so much that goes into it, whether you need a realtor for this deal maybe, or
mm-hmm.
whatever it could be. There's a lot of different things that play a factor in a fix and flip. I don't feel as though it's impossible to do it by yourself at first, though. I think
you can, but with the risk involved, if you mess up on one little thing, that can be the whole deal, and it could be even more than the deal, like cost you money that you don't even have.
Right. So by bringing in a partner, you're definitely mitigating that risk a little bit.
Yeah.
Which could always be a great option. I mean, as you can see, me and Stefanie are partners. That's something we both chose to do. So I'm not hating on finding a partnership on a flip whatsoever. I think that's a great strategy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, let's say you are an older gentleman and you've already built these connections and you do have some money saved up. It's not required for you to go out and find a partner. I'm sure many of you know. Done fix and flips before. But you just have to factor in both sides, kind of just see how much knowledge you have on this topic. If you don't think it's quite enough and you feel as though it's too risky, then find a partner.
And I think for me, with doing my first fix and flip, so when I found the deal, I cold called her and everything turned out to be great. I just didn't know how to run my numbers. So I had this other guy come out. He ran the numbers, said it was a good deal. And then, we partnered up just because I found the deal, which is great. Turns out, like, I did the whole deal.
She didn't end up doing the whole deal.
I ended up doing it, but what he brought along, he was supposed to be there.
But he brought the capital partner.
Yeah. He brought the hard money lender as well as the contractor. So, the contractor worked with him multiple times, so he kind of knew what he, done in the past with him, with other properties.
That was Joel, right?
Yeah. So, that also helped with everything.
So, I mean, her finding that partner, or her having that partner in the beginning for her first fix and flip, definitely helped out even nowadays within our business, just because we built connections with some subcontractors that worked on that project with her, along with the main contractor. He's obviously helped
which sucks because he's moving.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you he is moving.
You brought that up, I believe, the other day. But like, these are things that have helped us in our company even nowadays. So having that partner in the beginning definitely helped out.
Yeah, and it just all depends on the person. So, like,
we're kind of like going back into partnerships a little bit.
so you can see how, like, he's more towards, like, you can do it by yourself. I'm more towards, like, getting a partner. And what else? The other thing that I didn't have was the confidence.
Yeah.
Like,
you gotta have the confidence.
I went in, to that appointment as, like, I was gonna list it, but my options were open because I know she had mold in the property, so my investor alert was off too, but I didn't know how to run the deals and the numbers and stuff. But I didn't have the confidence of, like, oh, I can actually buy this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna make sure you find your place, so you have a place to go and everything like that. But when he came along and we were able to partner up, we all sat down at the dining room table, signed the closing documents, and moved on with the deal.
It just made you feel a little more comfortable than going into it.
Yep, it just helped build my confidence. So, like, now whenever we're doing it, if we go on do a fix and flip tomorrow, it's like, all right, let's sign the papers, let's, move along with this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, going into it as the beginning stages for me, it's nerve-wracking. Yeah. And it's not even just, like, going in to sign the paperwork. Like, talking to these sellers even, like, it can be a nervous thing, like, when you're first starting off. So, I don't know. I think finding a partner is definitely a great option. At the end of the day, like, it is a great option. And
everyone's just going to be different. Everyone's different.
Yeah, you just have to weigh your factors.
Yeah.
See what works best for you.
We are going into the partnerships. All right, so back to the what a new real estate investor should do, right?
Oh, that's what we're talking about.
So you do not need an LLC. And like I said, whenever you're making your cold calls, whenever you're doing the lead generation, just keep an open mind, because you never know if you're going to have a great wholesale deal or if you're going to have a great fix and flip. All right. But the other thing is, you don't know if you're going to like wholesaling when you want to do it, because some people get into it. They're like, no, like, I really hate cold calling. I don't like writing up letters and doing this stuff and doing that.
Me and Stefanie and I actually had a student not too long ago where he wanted to try to venture into wholesaling, and he saw us doing it. So he took some advice from the Bigger Pockets podcast and was like, I'll come work for you for free and everything. So we were very grateful for that opportunity.
Yeah.
He came along. We did weekly Zoom calls with him, kind of just gave him a blueprint of where to start and how to, be able to get into this business. And he came to realize after maybe like 2 months of doing it or so, he was like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Where, frankly, it's not for everybody.
Exactly,
It's a hard business. It takes a lot of effort and consistency, for sure.
So that's why, like, I don't recommend people get an LLC from the jump. Right. This is not financial advice. But, like, for me, like, if I were to redo this all over again, I wouldn't get an LLC from the jump. You know, make sure, do I actually like this business before I'm putting all this money into, you know, attorney fees, doing all this stuff, getting the documents and stuff like that.
EIN number.
Yeah, but, like, if you're doing your first deal, you've done your second deal, you're like, wow, I really like this business, and it's like, yeah, definitely go get that LLC for that protection there. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing I would focus on in the beginning.
So yeah, I mean, cold calling is a great first step when getting started in investing.
Yeah,
I would say even before that though,
driving for dollars.
Driving for dollars. Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
I was reading your mind.
You know me pretty well. But yeah, so that's how I actually got started. Back before Stefanie and I were partners, I had my own little wholesaling venture beforehand. And that's what my plan was. I was going around, I used the Deal Machine app. I'm sure many of you are familiar with. But yeah, if you're into, you know, trying to generate leads without having to make these random cold calls to people, definitely go ahead, try driving for dollars.
What is driving for dollars for people that don't know?
So driving for dollars is basically when you're going to drive around in your own neighborhood or your own backyard, own city, county, anything that you're familiar with.
Yeah.
And you're looking for these properties that quote unquote look dilapidated. Like they're ran down. Some of the key factors can be really high grass, you know, long hair.
High grass.
Oh, landscaping. That's what I was looking for. You know, landscaping that just hasn't been kept up with.
Yeah.
Broken windows, boarded up windows, really old roofs that have like mold and stuff on them, gutters that are falling down, mailboxes that are stuffed full of mail.
Yeah.
Like these are all things that show signs that somebody's either distressed or nobody even lives there.
Right.
So those are definitely great leads to go after in the beginning. And it's one of the cheapest ways too, because you don't have to go through and you don't have to pay for these lists to cold call and use all your time doing that when you're actually going out, finding these properties that you know could be a potential lead.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, if the house looks vacant or say you door knocking and you don't get an answer, you will have to cold call the owner. You're going to have to look up the address, you know, skip trace it, get the name, number, and everything.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have to cold call.
Which it's only a couple cents. So, like, get a good list whenever you are driving for dollars. Yeah. Make sure you get a list of at least 100.
I would say 200, but yeah, 100, 200.
A good amount. Skip trace it. We use directskip.com. Like that one a lot. There's also batch skip tracing.
Yeah.
But yeah, after you skip trace it, cold call that list. And, you know, some people like to send mailers too. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, you have those small fees and you can hand dial in the beginning. You don't need a dialer, you know, save that money and just hand dial until you get that deal. But if you do have some money aside, speed up the process and definitely get a dialer.
The 3-line callers, they come in clutch. I mean,
most definitely.
It speeds up the process a lot.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you're hand dialing, you're going to be there for hours going.
It takes forever.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing in the beginning.
It's tough. It's tough.
But yeah, so, I mean, those are definitely some of the best ways to get started in real estate as an investor. I was going to say wholesaler, but it's kind of just overall investing, whether you want to do a fix and flip, you know.
Because people start out as wholesalers, you know?
Right.
And, I mean, there's another episode we can do where we can dive deep into, like, lead generation of what wholesalers can do, or, you know, people looking to get deals can do. To generate leads and stuff like that, as well as dive deeper into what is real estate wholesaling, because some people may not even know what that is, or, you know, dive deeper with creative financing and fix and flip. So if you guys want to, you know, listen to an episode like that, make sure you comment that down below. Yeah,
we can definitely lay out every real estate strategy that we know of.
Yeah.
10 plus strategies,
because we're still learning every day. We don't know everything like this. We're young individuals in real estate, just taking it day by day. And that's why we want you guys to follow us along, because you can start practically where we're starting, honestly. Yeah. Just follow what we're doing. I'm not going to say we're 100% right with everything that we do, but at the same time, it's been working out so far. So
worst things worse, you won't lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean.
Well, you may lose.
Well, let's try not to lose. That's not the plan here. So yeah. Everyone's goal.
Stay positive.
Everyone's goal at the end of the day is just to be financially free.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're working towards. So, I mean, yeah, if that's something that you would love to do, please subscribe. Smash the like button.
Smash that like button.
If you're looking to ignite your real estate, hit subscribe.
Go subscribe to Investors Unite, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.